Irlandés, Mexico, you have 2 minutes to confront and refute the arguments of Cruz Querétaro and Luis Miguel.
Okay, as we asked you before, you said that the HR 6061 was only a building of a wall. I'm sorry to tell you, but it also includes drone planes, night vision, cameras, and the militarizing of the border.
Furthermore, you mentioned that the Secure Fence Act of 2006, HR 60.
Are you on the bad microphone again?
Furthermore, you said that the Secure Fence Act of 2006, House Resolution 6061, does not include any protection against towards building a barrier with Canada, and that is not actually true. What I have here is Northern Border Study, Section 4 of the Secure Fence Act of 2006. The Secretary of Homeland Security shall conduct a study on the feasibility of a state-of-the-art infrastructure security system along the northern international land and maritime border of the United States. It's not only a land border, but it is also a water-based border.
Yes, but at the end it's exactly the same. They are their own walls, the same wall.
The border to Canada is not the same as the border to Mexico. The Americans suffer a very, very excruciatingly painful terrorist attack on 2001. It is undeniable that they have taken several measures to ensure their security. It has been as little as they now take our picture and our fingerprints when we enter through an airport, and it is now escalating to the point that they feel that they need to build a wall between the two countries. It is not only justified by the fact that they have suffered because of the terrorist attacks of 9/11, but it is also in the interest of the people of America who want a wall and who want protection on the border that they have to build it. You also mentioned that talking is the solution to problems in the world.
Motion replica.
Go ahead.
Okay, reply.
You are focusing in security. The security, you are aware that there are only 2,000 miles between the border Mexico and the United States has. What about the 3,000 miles that are in Canada and the United States? Wouldn't it be that obvious for the terrorists to go over there? Yes, it will be. It's not just a matter that they will enter from Mexico. It's a matter that they can enter from all the borders and from airplanes and everything. So it's not just a matter of security.
Whether we like it or not, the border with Canada, Canada in general, and the United States have immensely better security systems than Mexico has ever had, has, or will have. You also mentioned that there are no potential terrorists entered illegally through the border. 500 OTMs, the other than Mexicans, from special interest countries, these being from Yemen, Jordan, Afghanistan, Angola, and Qatar and Pakistan, entered illegally through the Mexican-American border and were caught. The question here is, how many weren't caught? How can we be sure that terrorists didn't infiltrate through the Mexican-American border? We have no assurance of this. That is the reason why the Americans feel that they need to build a wall. It's an additional measure.
It's not your question time, so keep your questions then. And besides, this is not just about security. What your postures will be about stopping illegal immigrants.
You also mentioned along your introduction and your questions that the environment will be damaged. The environment has nothing to do with diplomatic relationship, as well as if the border wall will be ineffective or effective.
Okay. Mexico also has political systems that are aware of the environment. So we have Partido Verde Ecologista as an example. There are those political organizations which they will not let the border wall to be constructed because that will affect the ecosystem.
It is not a question whether it will be built. It is a question if it will be ineffective or effective, and if it will damage diplomatic relationships. And the project has already been approved by Congress, Senate, and was signed by President Bush on October 28, 2006. So the border will be built whether Partido Verde Ecologista wants it or not.
Is that true? The border wall will be built, yes, that's a fact. The United States has already approved. But we have to see before they start to building it, because they have not started, to think about more of the diplomatic relations that Mexico has with the United States. Diplomatic relations that benefit the United States of America and that benefit Mexico more than the United States. So when you put the border wall between these two countries who have certain relationships, diplomatic relationships which are important, which Mexico belongs as one of the 10 countries with the most important diplomatic relations with the United States, this is just going to be like a separation of when there's no trust, where there's no honesty, where there's no relation. And when there's no relation between two countries, when there's no relation between two political organizations, there's no diplomatic relation. And this is, when they build the border, the only thing that the United States will get is to separate from Mexico. And Mexico will join with other countries as Cuba and Venezuela, which are against the United States, because this will be accumulated to Mexico. And Mexico will do something for it.
First of all, your comparison of diplomatic relationships between Venezuela, Cuba, and the United States is totally irrelevant to the subject. These countries are currently at odds because of other factors. They're not because they're building a wall. In fact, several of these countries have trade agreements, as for example, the United States with Venezuela, and they sell them oil and everything. They're at odds because of political differences. Now, as to address your comment on the U.S. being very important to Mexico, and Mexico being very important to the U.S., I agree. But the fact of the matter is that the United States is more important to Mexico than Mexico is to the United States, whether we like it or not. The fact of the matter is that from the United States, over $20 billion actually come in each year from the immigrants who send money to Mexico. Mexico obviously needs people to live in the United States. Furthermore, you mentioned that it is not in the best interest of Americans or Mexicans to build the wall, but unfortunately the numbers seem to go against you. What I have in my hand is a CBS News poll that was conducted in May of this year, and the results they gave were that 62% of those polled support that the National Guard troops be put at the border. An additional 61% favor that foreign workers be allowed in the U.S. For temporary work and then be returned to their home. And that 77% of illegal immigrants already here, and as in the United States, stay and work if they learn English, pay taxes, and a fine, and they have no criminal record. America is open for business. They want immigrants. It's not the fact that they don't want them or they discriminate against them. It's the fact that they don't want illegal immigrants because they don't know who's getting in. That's why illegal immigration, and illegal being the key word here, must be curbed. Go.
And it's also a humane alternative, the wall, to the current solutions at the border, which are the Minutemen Project, the Patrolmen of America, and the proposed landmines.
The solutions currently at the border, which have been taken by armed civilian groups, such as the Minutemen Project.
Lithgow, are you there? Because you're not asking to reply.
Well, yes. Yes, the United States, of course, wants to have some control on the people that enter their country. Yes, that's true. But you cannot go all along to build a wall to one of the countries that has helped you, as it's Mexico, and in your time has outside the United States. By building the wall, the only thing that you are going to do is to close a relationship. And you cannot build a wall of 700 miles to a border of 2,000 miles, where the United States has much more borders, like from the sea and everywhere. So those people that you're talking about, Afghanistan, Yemen, Syria, all those people from those countries, if they want to enter to the United States, they enter also from the ocean, like the Cuban enter, they can enter, and most falls, they can enter from Canada, they can enter all the way around. It's not just from Mexico.